Okay, hi guys. Welcome to week 4. We've got some things that we need to address this week. One of the things I think I want to do is I want to start by going back and taking a look at week 3. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at our week 3. And I think that we all did some good stuff. But week 3, assignment 2, I really think that we're really super underdeveloped for week 3, assignment 2. And that started with evaluate and choose materials for the final project for week 3, assignment 1. So we talked about the 11 sustainable questions. And you guys put your work through those 11 sustainable questions. And I asked a lot of you to repost because I didn't think that you were being really as complete as you possibly could. As you've probably been subject to for the last couple of weeks, and you're probably noticing by now, sustainability is very, very, very deep and very involved. That's why sustainable graphic designers who specialize in sustainable design get paid so much money, because it's very involved. So the one thing I wanted to mention about week 3, assignment 1 was materials. And again, I'm going to talk about materials quite a bit. Let's go ahead and move on to week 3, assignment 2. Okay. And I think this is really where a lot of students really, really fell short. I can show you one student who didn't fall short, and that was Leslie. And I'm just going to pull up Leslie's work right here. Here's the PDF. And I just want to show you some things that if your presentation didn't include things like this. Okay, so first of all, she's got her theme, her trade show theme. So she's describing everything from the get. There's no assuming here that the viewer knows, has some sort of preconceived notion or predetermined knowledge as to what this presentation is. And I think that's smart, and I think that's the way every presentation that comes out of your studio should be approached. That the viewer has no idea what you're talking about, so you have to be as thorough and as complete as possible. And I think Leslie has done so here. Let's take a look at the trade show booth. So she describes what they do when they walk up to the trade show booth, okay? Then she describes the materials. Not just saying this will be recycled aluminum. A lot of people said the frame will be made from recycled aluminum and stop there. If you notice, Leslie's gone on ahead and said the most sustainable. To produce aluminum from recycled aluminum recycles only 5% of the energy to produce aluminum from bauxite ore. And then she goes on and talks about, the benefits of using recycled aluminum instead of raw materials, and actually points into some statistics that point right to her research. Okay? So that is just a fantastic job right there. Same thing with her tension fabric, the lights, the ink, the floor. Everything has been addressed. Okay, and pointing, same thing here. 11.5 by size, 100% recycled, and 50% post-consumer recycled craft 20-pound paper. All right, that's good stuff. All right, and notice that she's talking about vegetable soy-based inks, and I think she could have done a better job describing there, but nonetheless, the description is there. Okay, let's move on to this week. Okay, what's going on in week 4? Well, first of all, week 4, we have the first assignment. Week 4, assignment 1 is the life cycle analysis. That's pretty self-explanatory, and there's some examples in the class of life cycle life cycle of a product. So I'm not really going to go through this too much. I will say this, guys. A lot of you last week never paid attention to the steps to success. All right, that's the pulse of the project right there. Keep your finger on that pulse by following all of these steps to success very, very critically, very, very detailed descriptions of what you need to do. Very critical that you follow these verbatim, okay? So going to week 4, assignment 2, and now we're just with more of the same. You're going to be delivering you're going to be delivering your mock-ups, you're still going to be working on your components, your 3 components. These are the comp stage. So these are no longer mock-ups. These are your comps. Okay, for those of you who are not familiar with what a comp is, it's a much more detailed step in the final presentation than your thumbnails and mock-ups. Okay, so comps should be very, very almost complete. Now, one thing that I do want to say, I'm going to show you something. I'm just going to go to a new window here, and I'm just going to say trade show booth. Here's the trade show. That was already up there. So let's take a look at trade show booth design ideas. Okay, let's go to images, and I just want to find a trade show booth. Okay, so let's go to this one. This one looks like it's using. All right, so this trade show booth. So in your rendering of the trade show booth, you know what? Let's use this one. I think this one might be easier. Okay, so in your rendering of the trade show booth, what I want you to do is this. Okay, so of course these links are all broken, right? Let's find one that's not. Okay, so let's use this one. Okay, so here's your trade show booth, and what you're going to do is you're actually going to go in this week, and you're going to present your trade show booth, and this is how I want the final to go, guys. I think this is going to be the best way to present the final. But you're going to go like this. You're going to take an arrow, point. Whoops, what happened there? Okay, take an arrow. Wow. Not really sure what's going on here, but let's just use this one, I guess. Then, okay, so you're going to take an arrow, all right, and you'll point to this right here. Say desk. The desk is made from, give your materials, tell us why, and give us statistics. Point to facts and figures of why the material used for the desk. Let's say you used reinforced corrugated cardboard. All right, so for the you have an you have an arrow right there that says desk made from reinforced corrugated 100% post-consumer, or I'm sorry, 50% post-consumer recycled fiber. I'm using this for this piece. I'm using these materials for this piece because then give statistics on why it's the most sustainable and give statistics why it's the most responsible choice. Conversely, everything in your trade show booth, okay, so you would point to that. That's a floor. This floor is made from blah, blah, blah. Tell why it's responsible. Tell why it's sustainable. Tell why it's the most reasonable choice for this. So in other words, when you're done, you're going to have a bunch of arrows and a bunch of paragraphs. Here's an arrow for that post right there. Here's an arrow for the floor. They give a paragraph on the floor, including the material, detailed materials list that includes facts and figures. Okay? I want to show you something. Let's talk about this. One of the things I think that people are doing are trying to take shortcuts and by saying, okay, I'm going to use, and this is just an example, and this is from the book, okay? And for those of you who are saying that you're having trouble finding resources, you apparently haven't opened the book because this is just chock full of resources. So this is from the book right here. Now, I've been saying you can't just say recycle paper. So a lot of students are saying, well, I'm going to use recycled paper, so this is a sustainable project. Well, no, it's not, because look, there's all of these different grades of recycled paper, okay? You have what is called environmentally inferior paper, and you have all of these conditions here, all right? Then you have transitional paper, which is the next step up, minimal criteria. Then you have environmentally improved paper. Then you have environmentally superior paper. So your minimum criteria there is minimum 50% post-consumer recycled fiber. Virgin fiber cannot have any controlled wood content or controversial sources. And these are all pointing to sources right here. They're all pointing to these research sources. So, then you say the process is chlorine free, totally chlorine free, and that is PCF or TCF. Describe what that is, and then look over here. Environmental impact: 100% post-consumer recycled paper emits 25 to 50% less greenhouse gases and consumes no trees. Okay, so right there is in a nutshell is your formula for saying, okay, I'm going to be using recycled paper for my brochure. Well, tell us what kind of recycled paper. Then go and tell us what is the content of post-consumer recycled fiber. Okay, tell us what percentage of wood content is in there or controversial sources. Talk about the process for chlorine-free printing. Paper manufacturing. and then talk about the environmental impact. Okay, so those of you who are saying, wait a second, this isn't really a design project as much as it's a research project. Well, you're exactly right. It is. Designing is only part of this project, okay? When you're in your final portfolio, you're going to be pointing to all of these things that's saying sustainable. This is sustainable. This is the ink I'm using. This is why it's sustainable. This is why it's the best choice. This is the floor I'm using. It's sustainable. Why is it sustainable? Here are the reasons. Why is it the best choice for this project? Here are the reasons. Okay, same thing for the walls, the chairs, the trusses, the signs, the substrates used for printing, the ink itself. Everything needs to be itemized, okay? And that's really important, and that's where I want you to take into week 4 with you. Okay, so those of you who are getting comments of me saying, materials list isn't quite where it needs to be, blah, 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 blah. This is what I'm talking about, okay? So for those of you who have any questions, or if I can clarify anything here, please let me know, and I'll be sure to do so, okay? Thanks very much, guys.